Rap singer Eazy E has lost his battle with AIDS just 10 days after revealing that he had the disease.
Like, hey, something serious happened to my father, you know what I mean?
It begins with Tracy Jernigan, the woman who once shared Eazy E's private world, stepping forward after decades of silence and suspicion. Her voice doesn't tremble when she says it. She believes the man known as the Godfather of Gangsta Rap did not simply fall victim to an unstoppable virus. She calls it a calculated takedown, a premeditated act carried out by powerful hands in the music machine. Tracy has lived for years with the picture burned into her mind. Eric Wright, still vibrant and full of swagger just weeks earlier, now lying in a Cedars-Sinai hospital bed, the life draining away at a pace no one could make sense of. She insists she's not chasing a ghost story. She's chasing the truth she says has been buried under a pile of contracts, industry grudges, and cold-blooded ambition.
That Sunday, how soon before he ended up in the hospital?
That Monday.
Wow.
The next day. And he never came out of the hospital out of Cedars-Sinai.
Wow.
We cannot ignore the speed of his decline. 1 month before the headlines, Eazy E was in the studio, laughing, sharp, and physically solid. Built like a little tank, as one friend put it. No wasting away, no visible signs of the illness that supposedly had already reached its final stage. Then, almost overnight, came the coughing fits, the hospital stay, the public announcement. 9 days later, he was gone. And in between those days came one of the strangest scenes in hip-hop history, a hospital room wedding to Tamika Woods. A union sealed just 12 days before his passing, with Tamika inheriting control of his ruthless records empire. Was it the act of a man racing to protect his family, or a move orchestrated to secure control of a multi-million-dollar label in the chaos of his absence? The questions hang there, heavy and uncomfortable. This is where the whispers of the poison contract come in, a phrase that sounds like it belongs in a gangster film, but in this story, it's tied to a real meeting. Friends and associates recall a high-stakes business sit-down where the mood was tense, the air thick with mistrust. Deals were on the table, and so was the possibility of betrayal. One handshake later, Eazy E's fate may have been sealed. Could a contract signing have been the setting for something far more sinister? A transaction of life and demise disguised as business? Those in the room aren't talking, but the list of who stood to gain from his removal is long, and the industry at the time was a ruthless place where rivals didn't just outspend you, they erased you.
Some of the people that I'm talking to were saying that they weren't surprised or at least weren't alarmed by the cough because he smoked so much. Do you remember hearing him cough, and did you not think anything of it?
The cough was different that Sunday when we went to his house.
How so?
Because, man, I've smoked since 16, 17 years old. It wasn't a cough.
Okay.
It was
So you knew the difference.
Tracy's conviction is rooted in more than gossip. She says she never saw the telltale signs doctors warn about, no lesions, no mental fog, no collapse in body mass. Even in his final days, he still looked like himself, sick, yes, but not the skeletal shadow that full-blown AIDS typically brings after years of progression. Medical experts may counter that some cases advance rapidly, but Tracy remains unmoved. For her, the math doesn't add up. How does a man go from a clean bill of health to critical condition in a matter of weeks without any warning symptoms? How do 11 children from multiple mothers and not one partner test positive? How does a man with money, connections, and access to the best medical care in LA vanish so fast without anyone seeing the storm coming? The personal stakes are just as sharp as the public ones. This isn't only about a legend's legacy. It's about a daughter who lost her father at 4 years old and has grown up hearing competing versions of how and why it happened. It's about an estate worth millions suddenly under new management, an empire that, depending on who you ask, was either preserved or hijacked. And it's about an industry that, in the mid-90s, was as cutthroat as it was creative, where loyalty could flip to hostility in the span of one missed payment. We know Eazy E had enemies, rivals in the boardroom, rivals in the streets, and the kind of fame that draws the gaze of law enforcement and political figures. We also know he had the vision to keep Ruthless Records afloat even after losing marquee acts, which made him both a target and a threat to others' dominance.
You know, if we was friends before we did music together, then I think maybe it would have turned out different. But, you know, it was kind of a business relationship in a lot of ways. Even though we had a lot of fun together, you know.
For sure.
I considered him, you know, at the end, a friend, and not just, you know, the leader of NW.
Those close to him remember the days before the hospital as ordinary, studio sessions, phone calls, even plans to reunite NWA. No one recalls him being bedridden or fading away. And yet, the moment he checked in with what was described as a violent cough, the diagnosis came back with impossible speed. A month later, the man who put Compton on the map was gone, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a power vacuum that sparked legal battles almost immediately. The ink was barely dry on his marriage certificate before court filings began flying over Ruthless Records' control, with Tomica facing off against longtime business associates who claimed they were the rightful heirs to the company's assets. It's in this swirl of grief, greed, and suspicion that the theories multiply. Some point to personal vendettas, old business feuds that never cooled. Others point to the possibility of a more organized hit, carried out not with bullets but with biology. Tracy herself has said, "Something just did not seem right." He passed away unusually fast. He did not lose weight. He was not a substance abuser. It's like one day, he's fine. The next day, he's dying. Her words aren't just mourning. They're an accusation that someone, somewhere, knows more than they've ever said out loud.
We buried him April 7th, and then I turned 11 April 23rd.
As the camera pans across the old photographs, Eazy E with his kids, Eazy E in the studio, Eazy E on stage, we're reminded this is more than an urban legend. This was a real man at the height of his influence, with millions of fans and millions of dollars in play. His rapid decline didn't just shock the hip-hop community, it set off ripples that reached boardrooms, back alleys, and even government watch lists. And it leaves us staring at the same unsettling question that has haunted his family for 30 years. Was this the tragic end of a reckless lifestyle, or was it the perfect crime hidden in plain sight? In those last chaotic days, the energy around Cedars-Sinai wasn't the warm cocoon of care that most imagine for a critically ill star. It was a fortress. Visitors were carefully screened, calls went unanswered, and even longtime friends said they couldn't get close enough to hold his hand. This web of silence stretched from the corridors of the hospital to the offices of Ruthless Records, where key staff either kept their distance or offered oddly rehearsed lines about his condition. A handful of family members made it inside, but their accounts never quite matched. Some said he was still talking about business moves, others swore he was barely conscious. We're left wondering if this wall of control was to protect his privacy or to keep inconvenient truths from leaking out.
I get a call from E, and E's telling me, meet me at the house on Sunday. So Sunday, me and my homies, we all go to his house. And man, he's got a dry cough, like a cold, dry cough. And he was like, man, I got this bronchitis, just let me get it out of my chest. And
medical paperwork, too, sits under a cloud. Those who have fought to access the full set of records speak about missing pages, altered entries, and signatures that raise more questions than answers. There was no official autopsy, no independent review of the cause listed. The official certificate cited pneumonia from complications, but some insist other drafts existed with different wording. If you believe the more suspicious voices, crucial evidence might have been buried along with him, the file sealed tighter than any vault in Los Angeles. And in the shadows of all these unanswered calls for truth looms one name that refuses to fade: Suge Knight. His reputation in the 90s was already the stuff of whispered warnings, the man you didn't cross if you valued your career, your contracts, maybe even your safety. Then came 2003, when he sat opposite Jimmy Kimmel and, with a smirk that made audiences shiver, spoke about a new thing where people could be injected with blood carrying the virus. The Eazy E thing, he added, almost like a punchline. It was delivered as a joke, but to those already steeped in rumor, it sounded like a confession slipped under the door.
Right. Technology is so high, right?
Right.
So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. So the kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right? So they got this new thing out there. People sell them all the time. They got this stuff they get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it.
Oh, so that seems bad.
That's a slow
yeah.
Easy E, I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Industry veterans remember the bitter feud between Knight and Eazy E, a rivalry sparked by the tug of war over Dre and fueled by competing visions for West Coast rap dominance. Knight was said to have used threats, intimidation, and bare-knuckle negotiation tactics to pull Dre out of Ruthless. Would removing Eazy E entirely have cleared the board for Death Row's rise? Some believe the timing of his sudden illness, just as old rivals were consolidating power, is too precise to be coincidence. What becomes even more unsettling is the trail of opportunity that unfolded in the weeks and months after his passing. With Eazy E gone, Tomica Woods assumed full control of Ruthless Records, a label worth millions in catalog and contracts. Overnight, she became one of the most influential figures in West Coast rap business, guiding the company into new distribution deals and expanding its roster. While some saw this as the natural inheritance of a spouse, others noted how swiftly and decisively the transition happened, as if plans had been waiting in the wings, ready to execute the moment the chair was empty.
Laugh and joke and have drinks and, be talking about that happened and get a chance to have that time with him before he passed away.
Man, time does really heal all wounds.
It do.
And it's not always...
The ripple didn't stop there. Industry analysts at the time observed how the absence of Eazy E removed a key competitor to Death Row Records, allowing Suge Knight's empire to dominate without the counterbalance Ruthless had once provided. Sales for Death Row releases surged, and its influence over radio, touring, and retail distribution grew almost unchallenged. The vacuum left in the market was immediately filled by the very players who had been locked in bitter conflict with Eazy E just months before, leading to speculation that his downfall might have been as much about corporate strategy as street-level grudges. Beneath the surface, major labels and distributors also stood to gain. Ruthless's catalog, from NWA's early recordings to Eazy E's solo work, became a valuable licensing asset, and its partnership shifted in ways that benefited larger corporate entities. Those who follow the money point to the timing of these deals, how quickly they materialized once the leadership change was official, as evidence of premeditation rather than coincidence. If someone wanted to reshape the business map of West Coast hip-hop, removing its most independent and uncompromising player would have been an efficient, if brutal, move.
Ourselves on camera. No, never. No, we don't carry guns. We carry switchblades.
He says with a smile. I mean, really, seriously, do you?
You carry guns?
No. No? So you guys don't? You feel like you don't have to?
It's just a life that we live, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just where we stay. I mean, you never know what can happen. There's people every day that you know.
Whispers about silent investors and backroom agreements have floated through the industry ever since. These rumors suggest that figures far removed from the public beefs may have had a hand in nudging events toward this outcome. Powerful executives with no interest in street feuds might still have seen a clear path to profit if a volatile but visionary figure like Eazy E were no longer in the mix. Whether through manipulation, withheld resources, or simply turning a blind eye at the right moment, their involvement would leave no fingerprints, just a rebalanced industry that conveniently served their portfolios. The pattern isn't unique to this story. History shows that the music industry has often shifted in seismic ways after the abrupt loss of a major artist. Catalog values spike, contractual disputes resolve in favor of surviving parties, and rival companies capitalize on the sudden absence. Eazy E's situation fits that mold with uncanny precision. A fast and unexplained decline, a rapid transfer of control, and an industry landscape that seemed to fall neatly into place for certain winners. In this light, his fate becomes less a tragic anomaly and more a case study in how business and power can align in the shadows.
You know, you fast forward a little bit of time after that, and he, passes and becomes one of the, most influential people on the West Coast ever pass at the time, well, still to this day. What was your relationship like with Eazy at the time of his passing? Like, had you guys found a way to reconcile, or?
We had just reconciled. I met Eazy in '80.
If this broader theory holds weight, then the story isn't just about one man's enemies or a single act of sabotage. It's about an entire structure capable of rearranging itself when opportunity knocks. The unseen puppet masters, shielded by layers of corporate legitimacy, could rewrite the rules without ever stepping into the public eye. And if they could do it once to someone as prominent and connected as Eazy E, then how many other careers and lives have been quietly redirected under the guise of fate? His own associates have lent weight to the theory. B.G. Knockout once said, "For a person to have full-blown illness that quickly is suspicious." Former manager Jerry Heller admitted he thought something fishy happened and that he was the only one who didn't profit from Eazy's absence. Even Eazy E's son, young Eazy, publicly suggested his father was taken out and pointed straight toward Knight. Each of these voices adds another knot to the rope of suspicion, and yet none of them come with the definitive proof that could end the debate once and for all.
We got a chance to talk. We just sat and talked, and we talked for hours, just about old times, could we get it back together? He was beefing with Dre by then and Death Row. And I was like, yo, work that out, and I'm here, and then that was the last time I seen him. Last time I seen him alive.
We can't ignore that Knight's public image thrived on fear, and his offhand remark about a method of slow, unseen harm fits neatly into that legacy. Whether it was bluster or bravado, the parallel between his words and Eazy E's lightning-fast decline is impossible to unhear once you've caught it. And yet, no charges have ever been filed, no official inquiry opened. The case sits in that uncomfortable space where gossip and possibility meet, feeding a story that has outlived the man at its center by decades. Meanwhile, the silence of those who were in the room remains deafening. Doctors, nurses, executives, people who could close this chapter with a single statement, have either declined to comment or wrapped their answers in the kind of vague language that only deepens the mystery. We're left piecing together fragments. The sudden marriage, the lockdown hospital, the missing paperwork, the televised joke from a man who once fought Eazy face to face. It's a patchwork that may never form a complete picture, but one that still commands attention every time a new documentary, interview, or leaked anecdote surfaces.
You gonna continue making a lot of money off of this, do you think?
Basically, as long as you got people that want to learn about all this and they want to hear it, you know. As long as it's violence, it's gonna be rap music, gangster rap music, or whatever.
And that's the chilling part, the fact that after 30 years, we're still asking the same questions, circling the same rumors. If someone as high profile, as connected, and as valuable to the industry as Eazy E could be silenced without a single charge, what does that say about the true power dynamics behind the microphones and gold records? Could this have been an isolated act of vengeance, or is it a sign of a much deeper playbook, one where eliminating a rival is just another business strategy?
By 89, I had left, so I really knew him for five years, and it was mixed more with business than just hanging, you know. Even though we were hanging and kicking it, but all of it was wrapped around the music industry. So when we broke up, I hadn't seen him for years, because
maybe the truth is sitting in a file cabinet somewhere, waiting for the right pair of hands to pull it out. Or maybe it's locked away forever, known only to a handful of people who have made peace with taking it to the grave. But here's the question we can't shake. If the truth about Eazy E's final days finally came out, would it rewrite hip-hop history as we know it? Drop your theory below, because your voice might be the one that pushes this mystery into the light. Until then, keep your eyes open, stay sharp, and remember, in this game, nothing is ever as it seems.